Hey, what's up everyone, Omogonix here and welcome to part 6 of my tutorial series where I teach you guys how to make a first-person horror game in Godot. So in this part today, to start off, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making it so we can open up and close the drawers and closets. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So what I'm going to do here is I've got my drawers scene opened up and I'm going to select one of my drawers here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to right click onto the drawer and then I'm going to go add child node and we're going to add an animation player. And boom, so now we have an animation player added to one of our drawers. And so now with your animation player selected, you just want to click the animation button here and go new, and then we're going to call this new animation open. So this is going to be the open animation for our drawer. And now what we're going to do is we're going to select our drawer parent node here. So we're going to select the parent node of our drawer that our animation player is a child of. And so as you can see here with our properties, there is a key next to them now, and this means that we can now actually animate these properties into our animation player, so we can add our keyframes and stuff. So at the very start of your open animation, what you want to do is you want to make sure you have your drawer selected, and then you want to click on the key here on the position property. So we're going to click this key. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a reset track for our animation, and plus it's also going to create a keyframe onto this open animation as well. So what the reset track is for, in case you need a reminder, is it's basically what our animation properties will start off as at the very start of the scene. And you can also use the reset track as like an animation in order to reset properties if you want to. So you can go animation player.play reset, and then that will reset your animation properties. So yeah, so let's go create. And boom, so now we have our first keyframe of the animation created. So now I'm going to go to the end of the animation, and then we're going to pull out the drawer now, so we're just going to pull it out. And then you want to select the key here again on your position. So you just want to select it again, and now what that should do is it should have now created our open animation for the drawer. So I do want this to be a bit faster, so I think I'm going to pull this down to about 0.5, there we go. Alrighty, make sure you do save often as well so you don't lose your progress. So now as you can see, our drawer opens up at a decent rate. So now I am going to change the interpolation mode of the animation here to cubic, just because I think it, looks smoother. It's a much more smoother look to it, and yeah. So now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to now go to my something which we could actually try is copying the animation player here, then pasting it underneath our drawer too. And oh, it does actually apply here as well. So yeah, what you could do after you're creating your animation player for this drawer is you could then just, copy and paste it over to drawer 2 as well. Now all we are going to need to do is a open animation, because something which I actually discovered recently in Godot is you can actually play animations backwards by using the play backwards function. So that's what we're going to be doing here for our close animation as well. So we don't actually need to make both an open and close animation, we can just have an open animation which we then play backwards when we want to close the drawers, so yeah. In fact, this is something which I am actually going to apply to my regular door as well quickly, because we are going to be using the same door script that I use for my door on these drawers. And in order for us to properly do that, what we're going to need to do is we are going to need to make sure that our door works the same way as our drawers do. So as you can see here, I currently have an open and close animation, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making it so then it's only an open animation that then plays backwards. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the close here from the script, and with this here I'm just going to do play underscore backwards, and we're going to do open. Now I do want to make sure that this works quickly, so I am going to go and quickly try it out. So let's go play. And also you probably notice as well that it's currently full screen now. That's because I wanted to take a screenshot for something. But yeah, so now if we go open and close, as you can see it opens and closes normally. And we're not even using the close animation, we're only using the open animation, we're just playing it backwards and forwards. So yeah, so you don't even need to use a close animation, you can just have an open animation and that's it. Just play it backwards. Alright, so now that we've got that done for our door, let's now go back into our drawers script here, and boom. So one thing which I probably should do is we should probably change up how the collider is here for the drawers, because as you can see here it's just like, a basic cube collision shape. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just, move in the cube, because I was thinking of just making it a tri-mesh, but instead of making it a tri-mesh, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move in this cube here, and the reason as to why is because these drawers will be having their own static body colliders, and I want to make sure that they can actually be opened up and the raycast can actually hit them. So I don't want, this cube collider here to be, basically interfering with these drawers. So yeah, we'll just move that back a bit there, like that, and boom. So yeah, that should give us plenty of room to for our raycast to interact with these drawers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the cube 4 drawer, cube _ 004, and then what I'm going to do is we are now going to go mesh, create collision shape, and we're now going to create a static body child. Go tri-mesh, and boom. And as you can see, we now have a new collider for our draw here, a new tri-mesh collider. So I'm just going to call this draw. There we go. So yeah, make sure that you call your static body something like draw, so then we can identify it in the script when we are doing the scripting to get these working. And then we're going to do the same thing here as well. In fact, something which you could probably do is you could just probably like copy this collider here now, go to your draw here, and then just go paste, and boom, yeah, that just pastes the collider just like that. So now we've got our collision and stuff ready. Now all we need to do is we need to apply the scripts and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go onto my draw here, my draw node, onto this one, and then we're going to click on this one afterwards. So we're going to click on this one first, go script empty, and we're going to load up our door node. And boom, I mean our door script, I meant, not our door node. So yeah, our door script, it's going to be compatible with this draw, because it's just going to work, because the animation player, the way it's accessed, it's pretty much just correct, like, with how all the nodes are structured. So it's going to easily work. And then you're going to click on this draw too, go script empty, and then door once again, and boom. So now we have that ready. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go into our raycast script. So I'm going to find my player raycast script. There it is, player interact. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to create a new line. By the way, with this as well, instead of doing if hit.name equals to door, I'm just going to do elif. So this means else if. It just usually, I find it works a bit better. It's a bit more reliable. So we're going to go else if hit.name, and then we're going to go equals to draw, and then 2 dots afterwards. And then what we're going to do is we are now going to do the following. So we're just going to copy this, and then we're going to copy this as well and paste this underneath. And then you just want to remove one of the get parents, since we're only going up 2 parents in order to get the script, because so what's going to happen, right, is the raycast is going to interact with our draw static body here, and then it's going to go up 2 parent nodes in order to grab our draw's door script. And then once it grabs the door script, it will do the toggle door function that is on our door script. And yeah, then our drawer should open and close. So now let's actually go test this out, and hopefully everything all works. Alrighty, so let's go inside. Alright, so let's open up a drawer and let's see how we go. So let's just open up this. Oh man, I just noticed how dark the shadows here are, but it's alright. Oh, there we go. And boom, so as you can see, we can open up and close the drawer. So now let's go this one, and boom. So as you can see, it opens and closes. And it works pretty well too. Something which I should probably do is I should probably have like a crosshair in the middle of the screen, so then we can actually know to interact with objects. Anyways, so what we're going to do now is before we actually do the openable closets, what I want to do is I want to actually make it so then we can actually have like a crosshair, so then we know when we are looking at the drawers and we can actually interact with them. So yeah. Alright, so what we're going to do is we are going to create a new scene. It is going to be our UI scene. I don't think we've created a UI scene, have we? No, we haven't. Alright, so this is going to be our first UI scene, and I'm just going to call this player_UI for now. Just because, it's just going to be our basic scene which we're going to use for the general player UI. And we're going to right click, go add child node, and usually what I like to do is I like to add like a canvas layer. And what we're going to do then is we're then going to go add another child node to that. and we're now going to add a texture rect. So this texture rect is going to be for our crosshair, and what we're going to do now is I am actually going to open up paint.net, and I am actually going to now make like a little crosshair texture for us to use. So let's just go save this scene quickly. I'm going to save it into a new folder called UI, just save it like that, and boom. So now let's actually open up paint.net and let's make a texture for our crosshair. Alrighty, so here I am in paint.net. I'm going to go image, resize, and I'm going to resize this to maybe either something like 32 by 32 or 64 by 64. I mean, something which we could do at first is like do 256 by 256. Then we could make a little crosshair at this scale and then just scale it downwards. So let's do that, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually paint the background as black at first, because I am going to make the crosshair white, so I just want to be able to see what I'm doing correctly. I'm going to go shapes. We're going to do a circle, just going to be a basic circle shaped crosshair. We'll just drag the circle's edges to, like, you know, as far to the edges as we can of this square. And boom, there's our crosshair. So now let's just fill it in, and boom. And now I'm going to select the magic wand, just get rid of the background here, the black background, and boom, there we go. So now let's actually go save this. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to save it into my game files. Alrighty, so now let's just save our crosshair, and boom. There we go, our crosshair is now complete. Alrighty, so with our crosshair now, oh wait a second, I just realized something. We were meant to make it a smaller scale. Here, wait a second. Let's see how our crosshair looks when we do implement it here. So as you can see, it is kind of large, but yeah, what we need to do is we need to actually make it smaller. I forgot to make it smaller. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly size this down to 32 by 32. Alright, now let's go save again, and let's see how it looks this time. Alrighty, so now this time it is quite a bit smaller. I mean, it probably still is a bit big. We could probably even do 16 by 16. So now there is our crosshair. So that is a good size now. It's not too big or too small. So now I'm just going to rename this to crosshair. And in order for us to center this into the middle of our screens, here's what we're going to need to do. So let's go right click onto our crosshair. Then we're going to go reparent to a new node. And what you want to do is you want to search up center, and you want to select the center container. So now what this does is this will be used to center out our crosshair. So if I drag the border of this center container, as you can see, it now centers out our crosshair into the middle of the screen. So now our crosshair is completely centered. So I'm going to call this center container crosshair as well. I guess we could just rename this to like crosshair text or something for crosshair texture. Alright, so now here's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go to our player, and we're going to go add a child node. And, oh wait, no, we don't want to add a child node, sorry. We want to right click and go instantiate child scene, and we're going to add a player UI to it, and boom, so there is our player UI. It is now a child of our player. So now what we're going to do is in our player interact script here, I'm going to create a new variable. We're going to call it crosshair. Boom. And then we're going to make sure we do @onReady at the start of this as well. So what onReady does is this basically sets a variable basically as soon as this scene is ready. So as soon as our player scene is ready, basically then that's when this crosshair variable will be assigned. So what crosshair is going to equal to is it's going to equal to get underscore parent dot get underscore parent dot get underscore node, and what we're going to do is we're going to now get the node of our player UI, and boom. Oh wait, more specifically we then want to do slash canvas layer and then crosshair, and boom, so that's what we want to grab. So now what's going to happen is in underneath these 3 bits of code here, we're going to be enabling our crosshair. So if hit.name equals to light switch, what will happen is if crosshair dot visible, and then we're going to put an exclamation mark out the front of it, and what that is going to be asking is well, what that is going to be saying, is if crosshair isn't visible because the exclamation mark means not. So if the crosshair is not visible, then what will happen is the crosshair will be turned visible. So .visible will equal to true, and boom. And then we're just going to copy this and then paste it underneath the door line as well, and then the draw line, and there we go. So now what we're going to do is we are then going to do an else statement. So if our raycast is colliding with anything that isn't a door or a drawer or a light switch, what will happen is if crosshair is visible, so we're going to remove the exclamation mark, what will happen is then the crosshair's visibility will be disabled. So we're going to do crosshair.visible equals false, and then we're also going to copy this else line again, and then we're just going to put it right underneath this if is colliding line. So just like that, we're going to go else. So if our raycast isn't colliding with anything, then the crosshair will be disabled as well. And boom. So now let's actually go test this out and see how it all works. Alrighty, let's go. Oh, I just noticed something. Our crosshair is in the, it's not in the correct part of our screen. And you might be thinking why? Well, let me show you why. So something which I forgot to do is I forgot to go project settings, and you want to go into your display window mode here, and where it says stretch mode, you want to change this to canvas items instead of disabled. Then we go close, and now if we go play again, now let's go look at the door, and as you can see, our crosshair is now correctly in the correct position. So now it's just been stretched out to the correct position of where it needs to be. So now we can go interact with the door, and boom, so it all works. We can also interact with the light switches, and boom. Alrighty, so now let's try interacting with these doors here, these drawers, and boom, as you can see, everything works out quite well. So yeah, we can open up and close these drawers, everything's working quite well. And now we can move on to doing the closets after this. Alrighty, so now that we're done with the drawers, let's move on to the closets. So I'm going to go into our closet scene, and here's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go select my closet parent node. Actually, wait, no, I'll select the node of one of my closet doors first. Then we'll go add child node, and then node 3D. And then with this node 3D here, I'm now going to move it out from underneath our cube mesh, from our doors mesh, and then we're going to move it off to the side here. So what this is going to be, is this is going to be our door hinge. Because just like with our regular doors, these closet doors will need a hinge as well. So now what we're going to do is we're now going to just call this hinge, and then we're also going to then copy this node and paste it over here. So then we have a second hinge for our second door. There we go. So now with this door here, I'm going to make it a child of this hinge. And then with this door here, we're going to make it a child of the second hinge. So now we do have our knobs as well, which we'll need to make children. So I'm going to select these knobs here. I'm going to make it a child of this hinge. And then these knobs here, make them a child of this hinge, and boom. There we go. So now when I rotate this closet door, as you can see, it opens like how a closet door should when you're rotating it from the hinge. Alright, so now let's do the animations for these closet doors. So I'm going to create a child node of my hinge here. So we're going to add a child node animation player. And boom. So we're going to call this new animation open once again. Go OK. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my hinge, and then we're going to go transform, then we're going to select the key here on the position at the very start of the animation to set a keyframe, make sure the reset track's enabled, then we're going to go to the end of the animation, which I might make 0.5, so you can change the length of your animation here in case you forgot. And then what we're going to do is we're then going to rotate this hinge on its y-axis by 90 degrees. Oops, I meant negative 90 degrees. And boom, so that should open up the closet door. In fact, if you want to open up a bit more, you can do that as well. Then we're just going to go accept the keyframe there. Alright guys, so I just realized I accidentally set a keyframe on the position instead of rotation. what I meant to do was I meant to go create a reset track on the rotation instead of the position. And then we can then just set the time like that. Boom. And then what we're going to do is we're then going to rotate on its y-axis, go set the key, and then boom, now that is correct. So yeah, I accidentally set the position keyframe there. Alrighty, so now we have a closet open animation. I do think that is a bit quick. We could probably slow it down to 1 second. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, that's a bit better. I like that better. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this animation player. So we have our open animation now. Then we're going to copy this animation player and paste it onto our hinge 2. And now that should animate hinge 2, but let's hope that it animates in the correct direction, and no, it doesn't. Unfortunate. That is very unfortunate. So yeah, unfortunately hinge 2, it just rotates in the wrong way. I think what we're going to need to do here actually is we're going to need to create a completely new animation player for our hinge 2. Alright, let's go right click, add child node, animation player. And now we just need to animate our second door here. So it's not going to be as simple as copy and pasting the animation this time. We actually got to create a whole new one for this hinge. So again, you just want to get the keyframe of the rotation at the start, then go to the end, rotate your door on its y-axis, keyframe again, and boom. Then we're just going to change the interpolation mode to cubic, and yeah, as you can see, it now opens. So what I'm going to do now is with these two hinges here, I'm going to add the door script to them. So I'm going to add the door script to the hinges here. And now what I'm going to do here is a trick. Is I'm actually going to call these closet doors, the static bodies of them, draw. And why am I going to be doing that? Well, because it's going to work the exact same way as with the draw, because we're going up 2 parent nodes in order to toggle the door function. And yeah, that's how much we need to go up here as well. We need to go up 2 parent nodes, and then we can access the door script and cause the door function to happen. So what you want to do with your closets is if you've got your nodes structured the exact same way I do, you can simply call your static body 3Ds draw each. So you just want to call them both draw, and that will actually allow us to interact with these closet doors without having to add extra code. So now it's already coded basically. Alrighty, so what we're going to do now is we are now going to test it out, and hopefully everything all works. So let's go play. Alright, now for the moment of truth, and boom, it all works. As you can see, the closet opens, and we can even enter it as well. Oh, it looks like we're a bit too fat to fit in the closet. We can just, we can scale down the player collision size. But other than that, the closet closes and opens correctly. So yeah, that is pretty cool. We now have an open and closable closet. Alrighty, so as I said, I was going to scale down the player collision size. So let's actually do that quickly. So with our player collision shape, I'm going to scale down the radius to 0.3. And now let's go play again, and let's actually test out going inside of a closet, because the closets are meant to be a way for our player to hide from the intruder when they come in. Well, I mean, the player's kind of like an intruder as well, since this isn't their own home, but you get what I mean. Just someone who wants to kill the player. So now if we actually go inside of the closet, and then we close it, yay, we actually fit now. So now we actually fit in the closet, and we can actually open and close it from inside. So yeah. Oh, now you guys can't see me, I'm inside the closet. But then you can, because I just opened it. So yeah, we have openable drawers and openable closets now in this part, plus we've got a crosshair. Alrighty, so the next thing we're going to be doing today is we are going to be making our doorbell that our player will need to ring a few times before then the player character then, decides to then try open the door to see if it's opened, and then they find out it's unlocked. So yeah, let's go make a doorbell. So this is something which the player will need to ring a few times before opening the door. You guys don't have to make the doorbell if you don't want to. This is just something which I'm doing for my game, for the story purposes of my game. The player, they go up to the door, they ring the doorbell like how any normal person would. and then noticing, you know, that probably nobody's home, they then just decide to, I guess, wander on in, because that's a normal thing to do, right? But yeah, so anyways, let's go 3D scene, and I'm going to call this doorbell, and we're going to add a child node, mesh, and then we're going to make it a cube mesh. So yeah, this is going to be a very basic looking doorbell. It's just going to be like 2 cubes basically. So then we're just going to duplicate that, squash it down like this, and boom. And there we go. Alrighty, nice. So with this doorbell, I'm just going to create a new material for this button here in the middle, and I'm just going to make it like a grey color. And there we go, boom, just like that. And yeah. Now I'm going to save this scene into my my scenery folder, of course. There we go. So now with this doorbell, we're going to add a child node, a static body, of course, since we are going to need collision. I'm going to call this doorbell for interaction purposes, and then we're going to go collision shape 3D. We're going to add a box shape, and boom. So now let's just scale this down to the size of the doorbell. Alright, there we are. So we have our doorbell now, our doorbell collider. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add a child node to our doorbell. Another child node is going to be an animation player, and this is going to be for pressing on our doorbell, for ringing it. So we're going to go create a new animation. We're just going to call it press. And then with this little button here, what we're going to do is we're going to select this, and then we're going to then go to transform. We're going to, you know, select the key to get a keyframe of our position. Make sure you create a reset track as well, and boom. And then at 0.5, we're going to make the button press down, so we're going to change the position, keyframe again, and then we're going to go to the end of the animation. Then we're going to select on this little keyframe here, go Control C to copy it, Control V to paste, and boom, now we have a button pressing animation. So I'm going to change the interpolation mode to the interpolation mode, I mean. Then, as you can see, our button presses down more proper. So yeah. So now with this doorbell, what I'm going to do is we're going to create a new script for it. We're going to go save it into our scripts folder. General scripts, doorbell, boom, create. So now with this doorbell, we're going to create a new variable called times run. So this is the times our doorbell has been run, and when it's been run 2 times, then the player is allowed to then open the door in order to enter the house. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to do func, and we're going to go ring bell, and then what we're going to do is if, and then $animation player dot current underscore animation not equal to press. So this is basically checking if our press animation is currently not playing, and if it isn't playing, what will happen is times underscore run will plus equal 1. So what that means is times run, if it equals to 0, for example, it will then plus up by 1, so then it equals to 1. Oh, and also another thing we want to do here as well is end times run is less than 2, so we can only interact with this doorbell if it's been run less than 2 times. And then we go to animation player dot play, and then press, and boom. So then what we're going to do is we're then going to actually create a new variable. We're going to make it an exportable variable, so we're going to go export var door, and this is going to be for our door, so it's going to be a node 3D variable. And then what's going to happen is if times underscore run equals, or if it's over or equal to 2, then what will happen is door dot, and then we're going to go to our door script. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable for our door, and we're just going to call it locked. Now, by default, locked will equal to false. However, when it comes to our door, which is on the door, which is attached to the doorbell script, what we're going to do is we're going to actually create a ready function, and we're going to go door.locked equals to true. Now let's go back to our door script here. So we can only interact with the door if it is not locked, so we're going to do end not locked, like that. So now if times run is over or equal to 2, door.locked will equal to false. So then the player can actually interact with the door. So now let's go into our play interact script. We're just going to copy this here, paste it underneath, and then we're going to change if else if hit.name equals a draw, we're going to change that to doorbell. And then, you know, the crosshair goes visible, and if we press interact, what ends up happening is we do hit.getParent dot, and then we want to do our ring doorbell function. So for me it's called ring bell. So then we do ring underscore bell, and boom, so then our doorbell does the ringing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our level scene, 3D scene, and then we're going to make sure we actually get our door all working out. Our doorbell all working out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go instantiate a child scene, we're going to add in doorbell. In fact, wait, no, I just realized something. We shouldn't do this in our level scene. We need to go into our house scene for this. So I'm just going to cut my doorbell. Then we're going to go into the proper house scene. So we're just going to go house scene. There we go. Then we're going to go paste it like that. Oh, it didn't paste how I wanted it to. Whatever. Anyways, let's just move it over here, I guess. Also, the doorbell looks a lot smaller now. So we are going to scale it up a bit, I think. Yeah, there we go. Looks a lot smaller because of how things scale in this house scene a bit differently to the level scene. Alright, so now that should be good. And yeah, there we go. So there's our doorbell. So now what we want to do is we want to get this door here. So for me it's door 4. And I'm going to assign it to the door variable in my doorbell script. So we're going to assign door 4. There we go. And boom. So now let's actually try this out and see how it all goes. E. So we've pressed it once now. We still can't interact with the door. However, if we press it a second time, we then can interact with the door. So yeah. So there we go, now we have our doorbell implemented into the game. So yeah, this is just here for story purposes. You guys don't have to make an interactable doorbell if you don't want to. However, you can if you want to, of course, but yeah. Alrighty, so now that we've done the drawers opening and the closets opening, and we've also done the doorbell, what I want to do next is I want to actually do some blood, since in the area where the safe will be that the player will need to find the code to open, basically, I want to have some blood and a few dead bodies around, because they'll be like, you know, dead bodies from the family members who lived here, and yeah. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up paint.net, and I'm going to make a blood texture, which we are going to use in this room here, since this is where I planned for the safe to be. And I think in part 7 maybe, or in part 8, who knows, but I do plan to eventually make dead bodies to lay around here as well, so yeah. But anyways, let's get to making some blood. Alrighty, so here we are in paint.net. I'm just going to open up the image here, and we're going to resize it to, I think 720 by 720 should be fine. So I'll resize it to that. There we go, 720 by 720. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. And then I'm going to select a red color for the blood, and I'm going to turn up my brush size to something like maybe 50. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint around this image here. So I'm just trying to get like the sort of shape that I want for my blood puddle. And right now, you know, this does look like, you know, very basic cartoony blood. But we will be making it look better with just a few simple tricks once I am done, you know, filling this out here. Alright, there we go. So when it comes to doing blood, you know, first you just do your basic red thing there. And then what I usually like to do as well is I like to do, you know, maybe just a few more layers of just different shades of red basically to add over it. Let me go a bit darker. And yeah, I'm just adding new layers as I do this as well. Alright, I think that should be alright. Let's actually just merge these layers down now. There we go. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go onto my effects tab, blurs, and I'm going to find Gaussian blur. And now we're just going to up the radius, and boom, now we have some, you know, more realistic blurred looking blood. So I'm just going to blur this to a certain degree. I think something like this looks alright. Then I'm just going to disable the red background, the white background, And boom, there we go, there is our blood. This is what we're going to be using in the game. So yeah, when you do blur the blood, it does look a lot better. So anyways, now let's go File and Save As. So now we are back in the Godot project. So if I go into my textures folder here, as you can see we have the blood now, the blood texture. And so here's what I'm going to do for this blood. So I'm actually going to start up a new scene, new 3D scene. I'm just going to call this blood decal. And what this is going to be is this is going to be a decal for our blood. So I'm going to actually change the type here. And it is going to be a decal. So that's going to be the parent node of the scene as a decal. Then we're going to go textures. And we're going to add in our blood texture right there. And boom, everything should be all goods now. Alrighty, so let's save this scene. We're going to save it into my should I save it into my sceneries folder or create a new folder? I think I'll just save it into the regular scenery folder. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty. So now if we go into our house scene here, let's now go add in the decals. Let's go add in blood decal. And there it is. Alright, let's move it down here. And there we go. So there is our blood decal. And boom, there it is, our blood. Alrighty, so with this blood, I'm just gonna, have it be in a few places in this room. Also, because it's a decal as well, it can actually, stretch up onto different objects like this box here, for example. So you can actually have, your blood going across multiple objects if you really want it to. So yeah. I'm just rotating it like this, just so that I can, get a correct sort of a blood pattern without it looking, all weird and squarey, because as you can see here, when I just have it rotated normally, there's like a big cutoff here, but then if I rotate it like that, then it, it actually looks more natural. So yeah, do keep that in mind with your decals. See, I'm probably gonna have like maybe 2 or 3 dead people in here in this room with this blood. Then we'll have some of it be on the ground. And plus rotated as well, like this. Drag it in a bit more, just so we've got more color there. Alrighty, so that's going to be the blood in this room. So yeah, that there, guys, is a good way of doing blood decals in Godot. Alright guys, so I don't know if this will be the last thing we do in this part today, but one last thing, if this will be the last thing, that I do want to do today is I do want to make it so our player can actually crouch up and down, since I haven't implemented player crouching yet. So yeah, let's actually go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go into my player scene now. Here we are. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our player script, and let's get started. So I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call it crouching, and it is going to equal to false at first. So now I'm going to go into project settings, and in my input map here I'm going to create a new action called crouch, and I'm going to add a new input to it, and it is going to be control for now. So that is going to be my crouch key is control. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new physics function. I'm going to create a new process function. And in this process function, we're going to go if input.isAction just pressed crouching, or just crouch, since that's my crouch input name. Whatever your crouch input name is, then input that. And then so after we press our crouch input key, what will happen is crouching will equal to the opposite of what crouching currently equals to. So if crouching equals to false, it will now equal to true when we press the crouch button. Then if we press the crouch button again, it will go from true to false. So now what we're going to do here is we are going to do this. So in order for our player to crouch, what we're going to do is we are actually going to shrink down our capsule size height, so our collision shape height. And then whenever our player stands back up again, it's then going to go back in size. So in our physics process function, since we're going to be using lerping, I do prefer to lerp in the physics process function, so we're going to do that in here. So in our physics process function, what we're going to do is we're going to do if crouching and And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab our player's collision shape 3D. So we're going to go $ collision shape 3D. And then we're going to go dot height. Wait, no, sorry. We need to go dot shape dot height. So we're grabbing the height of our actual shape of the collision shape. And we're going to be checking if the height is over 0. And we can do 0.25 as an example for now. We might change it later on depending on if that's too low or too high, but we'll just set it to 0.25 for now as an example. And so if we're crouching and our collision shape's height is over 0.25, then what will happen is we will go lerp. So wait, no, first off we're going to create a new function, a new variable, sorry. So we're going to create a new variable, and we're just going to call this crouch height, and this will equal to lerp. Then what we're going to do is we're going to then lerp our collision shape's height, and we're going to lerp it to the value of 0.25 and the weight of this. So what the weight is this will basically determine how fast our collision shape's height will change to the value of 0.25. So the less the weight, so if I have a weight of like 0.1, it will move down, so the collision shape's height will move down to 0.25 at a slower rate than it would if it was at, like, say 0.5 for the weight. So the weight is whatever speed you want your player to be crouching at. So for an example, I'm just going to be doing 0.2 for now. I might change it if that's too fast or too slow. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And yeah, then what we need to do after doing that is we then need to do collision shape dot height, and then we need to make it equal to crouch height, and boom, there we go. So then we're just going to copy this, paste it underneath, and then we're going to do if not crouching, and if the collision shape height is under 1, or 2 because that's our standard height is 2, so we're going to set this to 2. So if less than 2.0, then what will happen is our collision shape's height will be lerped to 2.0. And boom, so hopefully this all works out. There's only one way to check, and that's by trying, so let's go check it out and see if everything worked. Alright, so let's press left control, and boom, it works. So as you can see, our player crouch is working. So when we crouch, our height gets lerped down, then it gets lerped up again when we crouch up again. So yeah, everything works pretty well. Oh yeah, that's right, we need to ring the doorbell twice before we can open the door, and boom, there we go. And yeah. So anyways guys, that's going to be the end of part 6 today. Hopefully you all did enjoy. We did do quite a bit today. We made it so we can open up our drawers in our closets. I also added in a doorbell here for, you know, when our player starts off, they need to come in, ring the doorbell, then they can open the door after ringing it a few times. And yeah. And then we also have some blood down here as well, in this room. There's the light switch in this room, there it is. But yeah, as you can see, we also have some blood which we added. And yeah, things are looking pretty good right now. Also, I just realized that this pillar here, it's overtaken the light bulb. Like, how did I not notice that? Anyways, I'm gonna have to fix that soon. But yeah, so anyways guys, that's going to be the end of part 6. Hopefully you all did enjoy. I know that this part was shorter than the others, but yeah, part 7 will be coming soon. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this series so far. Thank you all for watching. And consider donating to me on Ko-Fi as well. That would definitely mean a lot. And just consider liking, commenting and subscribing, checking out my games on itch.io if you want to further show support. And again, I'll see you guys soon. Next one, part 7. Bye bye.